Okay, awesome. So my lesson is called How to Fail. And so when I put that out there, failure comes out as this really big kind of imposing word. Because when people think of failure, they kind of think of sadness or disappointment. All these kind of words that hit you like right in the gut, a really, really emotional response. And so in my lesson, I kind of try and break down all these things, break down kind of the negative things, kind of like if you fail, like that's the end point. You run into a wall and you can never kind of go on after that. And so when you think of failure, or when I think of somebody who is a failure, you really don't think of like a very positive person. You kind of think of like maybe a schlubby person, maybe somebody who doesn't have their life together. But when you look at all the people who are famous, who've like attained really, really great successes, a lot of them have come from a place where like they've had setbacks in their life. Like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Oprah, all these people, they started off at places where they were not so great. They worked on it, and they worked on it really, really hard, invested all their time in it, and eventually they overcame these. So for example, Oprah, she worked as a news anchor for a little while, and she was fired because she was told she was not fit to be on the screen. Or Lucille Ball, who became the main character in I Love Lucy. She was actually told she was too shy to put her best foot forward and was kicked out of film school almost. Even Bill Gates, his first company before he started Microsoft was called Trafidata, and it was a complete flop. He didn't make any money on it. The first time he went to put his machine on market, it actually didn't work at all. So what kind of this leads me to is kind of all these examples of people who became successes, are known as successes, but started off as like the more negatively connoted failure, is that failure is not something that we should really kind of have this opposition to. We should look at it more as a step and like as a pathway that will lead us eventually to more success. So there are two types of mindsets that people can have. One is called a growth mindset, and the other is kind of a fixed mindset. There's two kind of words associated with this. One is the word smart, and one is the word hardworking. So when you tell somebody that they're smart, what it kind of gives them, if you are like, this is the only thing you can be, this is the best thing you can be, is that they kind of develop a fear of failure. They're like, maybe I'm not as smart as everybody else thinks I am, and if like I don't do well on this test, like maybe I can't open a bottle or like something really like that, they get really kind of anxious and they're really afraid of being exposed. Whereas if you tell somebody that they're hardworking and the best thing to be is hardworking, they'll see not doing well on a test, not being able to fix something as all these things that they can work on and they can improve. So failure is not something as an endpoint, not something where they'll be exposed, but something they can always and continuously work on. So in fixed mindset, it's more like what's associated with smart. It's like your talents, your IQ, all your abilities, those are all fixed, and whatever you're given, whatever you start off with is kind of like what you're left with. Whereas in a growth mindset, all these are things that you can keep on working on. If you put more effort in, if you put more determination, more ambition, you can always improve. So like IQ, intelligence, those are things that take practice. With time they'll become easier, but like they don't start off that way. Or there's the 10,000 hour rule for talents. So 10,000 hours is the amount of time needed to become an expert in something, which is about 2 hours a day for 5 years. So for all of these, like if you don't love what you do, the amount of time needed to become an expert probably won't be worth it if you're just miserable the entire time. So in the end, what I try to encourage everybody to do is to find something that they love, something that they'll put the effort in, because if you need the 10,000 hours, you better love those 10,000 hours, even if you hate yourself for doing it. So my last thing that I'd like to sum up with is a quote from Albert Einstein, who was also a notable failure before he became a success. He was fired from his job as a teacher, or he wasn't fired from it, but he could never find a job as a teacher after going to school for it. He was passed over for promotion because he spent all of his time daydreaming, of course, because he's Albert Einstein. So the quote is, see failure as a step to success. See everything as a pathway, everything as a progress. Never see it as an endpoint because that will ultimately hold you up. So that's it. Thank you for listening.